So the Tekhelet, and I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that the royal purple, the argaman and Tekhelet, are basically two variants of one substance. Just depends on the sunlight if you make it or not. And we know that the Gentiles were also quite fond of at least the royal purple and the Tekhelet. How is it that Tekhelet was lost to history for so long? Something that was so popular among Jew and Gentile alike. Many things the Jews have preserved, their traditions, their biblical texts. Jews are very fond of mitzvot and traditions, and something that we ourselves lost and the Gentiles also lost. How could it go lost if it was something that was so popular?
So no one can be sure of that, but we have our ideas. Rabbi Herzog was really someone who was the first to try to tackle this question. Yeah. When the Roman Empire fell in the 6th, 7th, 8th century, depending on how you look at it, it didn't happen all at once. But the world was plunged into what was called the Dark Ages. Not a Dark Ages, the Dark Ages. And you're talking about within 100 years or 200 years, people looked at... Am I back again? Rabbi Grossman? I'm not sure if you hear me or if you dropped off.
That's
or if
both of us. I guess that's only...
Okay, are we back? Are we both back?
That was both of us. Yeah, now we're here. You were mentioning the Dark Ages began with the fall of at least the Eastern Roman Empire.
Correct.
You're referring to the Eastern Roman Empire. And
the Eastern Roman Empire, but no, the entire Roman Empire, the entire Europe
the Western
was plunged into these Dark Ages. So within 100 years or so, people had no idea what the cities that had been inhabited, what they were, who lived in them. So you really had this incredible loss of information worldwide. But specifically to the Jewish people and Tekhelet, there are a couple of things that you have to remember. By this time, and we're talking about the year 400, the year 500, Tekhelet and all shellfish dyeing was completely under imperial control and regulation. Justinius in the 5th century writes in his laws, no one is allowed to keep the purple or blue dyed fabrics in their house, and anybody who does, this is a crime tantamount to treason, which is punishable by death. So the Jews, I would say, wearing Tekhelet already in the later times of the Talmudic period was something that was very, very rare. It was dangerous. It was very, very expensive. And it was difficult to get, because where are you going to get Tekhelet? Because anybody who's dealing with it is afraid for their life. And we even have stories in the Talmud and the Gemara about people who were trying to smuggle Tekhelet out of Eretz Israel, where it was dyed, because the snails need the Mediterranean. You don't have it in Bavel, in that area. You can't get Tekhelet. You can't produce Tekhelet. And as the Jews were smuggling, the people were smuggling out the Tekhelet from Eretz Israel to Bavel, they were caught by a giant eagle. That's clearly a metaphor to get around the censor for the Imperial Roman army. They must have, gotten caught by Roman tax collectors. Like if anybody's ever come into Israel and you try to go through the green line when you have stuff that you're supposed to go through the red line. Well, in those days, the Romans were not as forgiving as the people here in Ben Gurion Airport, and somehow or another, these smugglers, if you will, were able to escape b'nes nitzlu, says the Talmud. But with a miracle, they got out there with their lives. I hope they made it out there with their Tekhelet also to get that to Bavel. But in any event, it's very, very rare. It's expensive and it's dangerous. So most of the Jews did not wear Tekhelet already by the 3rd, 4th, 5th century, 6th century for sure. And the Gemara recognizes that. The Gemara says, "Gadol onsho shel lavan me onsho shel Tekhelet." If you're not going to wear Tekhelet, I can understand that, says God. I'm not going to punish you too much. Maybe there'll be a little punishment. But if you can't wear white, how hard is it to wear white? So at least put on regular white tzitzis. So the Gemara already realizes and recognizes that not everybody is wearing Tekhelet. But if it's under imperial control and the empire is falling, crumbling from within and being attacked from without, especially by the Arabs. And that's where Rabbi Herzog puts the demarcation line and when Tekhelet was lost. Probably in the 7th century, in the year 630, 640, the Arab conquest of this area of the Levant and especially of Eretz Israel, the dye houses would have been prime targets for the Arab conquerors, not only because they were producing a lot of money, which was funding the Roman war effort, but also they were the symbol of Rome. You were born into the purple if you were going to be an emperor, literally, in a room that was completely covered with fabrics from our little snails, purple and blue. And there was a mad lust for purple, says Pliny the Elder. Really, the Romans were very, very much associated with this. And so when it was lost, as they say, when in Rome,
Yeah.
and if we're in the Roman Empire and Tekhelet is lost, we do as the Romans, and we lost Tekhelet as well.